Most people who buy their first rental have no system. They figure it out as they go, and that means bad tenants, unexpected costs, and a whole lot of stress that could have been avoided. Today, we're giving you something different. A proven 4-step framework called the PREP method. It's built specifically for first-time landlords who want to get this right from day one. And we're not just teaching this. This is the exact framework my wife and I use to set up our own rental property successfully from the very beginning. And it has been cash flowing ever since. Let's get into it. What do you think, do you see personally? What is the hardest things that a lot of people that are getting into, like, I'm going to have a rental property and they want to get into being a landlord? What do you think is that first problem, or that people have a hard time with when it comes to being a landlord? What are the fears?
I think there could be a lot of fears in a variety of ways. I mean,
Yeah.
there could be I really want to do this, but I fear, will I have a tenant? Will I be able to keep it occupied? Will the tenants be a good fit? Will they take care of my property? Are they going to pay on time?
Hmm.
How do I not get overwhelmed with all of this? How do I find a good tenant? So I think there's a lot of different angles that people could have some worry about or initial fears if you don't kind of have a system in place.
Yeah. I always hear people talking about, oh, my Uncle Sam told me that, being a landlord, broken toilets, having to go and having to deal with a whole bunch of repairs. And that's a
Mhm.
fear that people get into. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And yes, those things happen. Those are inevitable things that happen. And you have to expect that. That's why preparation is one of the key efforts that need to take place before you actually get started. So,
Yeah.
like, the first thing that we're going to talk about right now is we're going to talk about the PREP method, which is prepare, right? Recruit, establish, and protect, right? And what does prepare mean? Before we can start with confidence, we have to prepare with intention, right? So, what does it really mean to treat a rental like a business and not a hobby? What is the difference of how you show up? What would you say?
Yeah. I think with a hobby, right, it's for fun. You
Hmm.
do it when you have free time. It really probably, for the most part, doesn't matter when you pick it up, when you put it down.
Yeah,
Um, can be expensive, so that can
yeah,
be similar, but for the most part, if you're a business, it's not a choice if you're going to engage in it or not. And you have
yeah,
to be very intentional with it. You have to set aside time for it.
hmm,
And I mean, kind of similar to a hobby, the success of it depends on what you put into it.
yeah,
And so, if you're going to have a business and you want it to do well, it's not optional to put the time into it.
yeah, exactly. And I read this book right here. I wanted to show everybody. This is the book Managing Rental Properties, and it talks about, these are all the systems that that go through from the beginning to end, step by step. And it takes time and effort, right? Like, if you want to do it the right way, educate yourself, learn. There is a lot of resources online. Now we have artificial intelligence to help you figure a lot of these things out. Like, there is no really any excuse, but the fact that, if you take time to just read and understand, like, what is the process, is just going to pay off, right? And, like, everything that we did that I read in this book doesn't mean that I applied 100% of it, but I'm pretty sure at least I put in at least 60 to 75% of, like, what this book taught me. So it's like, just taking the time to just to read, think through it, understand each step and process is going to set you up for success right from the beginning. And with just one property at first, the only property that we have as a rental, it was just a success. It was, to me, just looking at it now, is a home run, in my opinion,
Yeah,
right?
I think that was a huge blessing. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
some people do it all right and it doesn't turn out quite as well, but it has, I think the systems that I'm assuming you learned in that book, because I never read that book,
Yeah.
that you
You
had in
relied on me a little
place.
bit. Yeah.
I relied on you
Yeah.
110%, but the systems that we've had in place have made
Yeah.
it go really well. And so I'm sure there's some variables that could always impact even with great planning, but I
Yeah.
think for the most part, if you have a good plan in place, you
Hmm.
kind of mitigate a lot of the risks and the fears
Yeah.
that you could have otherwise.
Yeah. And a lot of the things, just thinking about preparation before you start this, you have to start thinking about fair housing laws. Each state has specific fair housing laws, that you have to respect, race, religion, background. You have to respect all these rules are in place per state. So like these are things that we had to look up as well. Make sure that we're not violating any laws that comes to fair housing. So please, everybody, take your time to go and do your due diligence and research when it comes to fair housing laws. Now, when it comes to the next step that we're going to be talking about is marketing the property, right? And this question here, I think you're going to like this question because you know the preparation that we took to do this, right? What does an
Yes.
excellent listing look like versus a lazy one? Now, paint the pictures for the listeners. When we went through our rental, what did we do to make our property really stand out? Like all the things that we did to the house.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the preparation started before I even lived in that house. You purchased it, and
Mhm.
really, I mean, would you say you did a full gut on the house?
I was not a full gut. I would probably say a full renovation when it comes to flooring, paint, kitchen, new countertops. I didn't do anything major on the bathrooms or nothing like that, but like all new flooring, new paint, like all the basic stuff made it look real pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, new light fixtures,
Yeah.
fans, and
Yeah.
and yeah,
You did a lot to
yeah,
it. And so, and really, I guess depending on the property, that may not be necessary.
hmm,
But you, when we decided, okay, we're going to move towards this being a rental,
yeah,
we got it clean. We took really nice pictures and we staged the house.
yeah,
And I think you said, what's the difference between an excellent listing and a lazy
and a lazy
listing?
one, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to market to the type of renter that you want, right? So
hmm,
if you want somebody who's going to take care of your property, you have to think about what are they looking for? They're going to look for good pictures, a clean home, a well-maintained property.
yeah,
They're going to look for all of those things, and that has to be conveyed through the pictures. You can tell a lot through a picture. And
yeah,
so I think that was probably one of the bigger things that we did to attract people was make the listing look better than the rest of the listings.
yeah. That's true. And to be fair, though, we didn't use a high professional camera.
No,
We
we
use we
didn't.
use the iPhone, but the
Yeah.
even though using a phone camera is usually not preferable when it comes to marketing your property, but I think with the iPhone that you had at that time, it took really good quality photos.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think for somebody who's just starting out as well, who maybe
yeah,
doesn't want to spend the money on a professional photographer,
right,
I don't think it's a bad thing to use your phone as long as they're
yeah.
good and they're not. I mean, we were joking about this that you see people trying to take a picture of the bathroom and you can like see them in the mirror and they're like covering their face. And so,
It's so
you don't
sad
want
when people do that, though. It
I
doesn't
know.
make any sense to me,
You
but
don't
yeah,
want pictures like that,
yeah.
but decent pictures I think are
Hmm.
a good idea.
Yeah. And it's like how you present your property in those pictures tells, a lot to to your tenants. It's like, oh, is this the type of landlord that I want to have? He's showing up on a picture with, the marketing pictures.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't look good. It rubs off,
No.
a little off when people see that. So yeah.
No, no. Or like we've seen, this wasn't really for a rental listing, but we've
Yeah.
looked at other house listings by
Yeah.
realtors and it's just the pictures are grainy or it's sideways or
Yeah.
it's like they didn't take any time to just kind of arrange things. And
Yeah.
so It's worth the little bit of your time to make it look nice.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing that we did, we definitely took some time. We use Rental Meter. Rental Meter is a website that gives you comparables of the neighborhood, and it has really good data just to compare the rentables comparables in your neighborhood. So we use that, and taking our time just to evaluate what a rent would look like, it also helped us market it the right way. Like
Yeah.
we didn't price it over too high or too low. We felt like we just put it right in the middle. And knowing that our property was better looking than some other ones that were on the market, and we still had it a little lower than those,
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say, I think we probably could have charged
Hmm.
more,
Yeah.
but we were just getting into it and we wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that it got rented.
Yes. Yeah. We also another thing that I think helped out, just little details like this can help out, like adding a washer and dryer into the rental. If you go to most places that you're gonna rent, they don't include a washer and dryer, and we decided to include ours. Right, we had a washer and dryer, the real nice washer and dryer that we bought, that Samsung, the really good quality, and that right there just has some extra value, right? Because a lot of people don't want to have to commute to do the laundry, right? So
Hmm.
it adds some good value, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so and then as far as like the platform that we use to list a property, there you can do marketing through Zillow, Refin. You can put your rental property just through those platforms, but we use Avail, and Avail is the software that is used specifically just to manage your rental properties. But what this platform also does is that when you market it, it shoots out to all of these websites all at one shot. So it's like you don't have to just list it with Zillow, right? And that's why we definitely think if you have a software that allows you to do this is going to be a game changer. So you don't have to go to like a whole bunch of different platforms to market it. Just one, and it shoots out to through the rest. And Avail is just one of them. There's other software manager, landlord manager companies out there, but Avail is something that we've stuck with since the beginning, and it has turned out great. And this is something that we'll link in the description box below, and that way that people can have the resource if they want to look into it with some more depth, right?
Isn't it
Um,
also very cheap? Maybe wasn't it like five
it is
dollars a
cheap.
month
Yeah, when we first started, it was I think 5, but now it's $9. So it's not still not bad. It's still not bad for what it can do.
for
But
all that it does? Yeah, I
I
know
know
we're gonna get there. It's
we're
a
gonna get
good
it more,
deal.
more in like the things that it can do. But it's a definitely good platform, and it's owned by Realtor.com. They own it, right?
Mm.
So, the next segment is recruit. Okay, I think this is the recruiting section. We learned a lot. This is something that we definitely had to learn. The recruiting. What does recruiting mean? All right. So we're just talking. We're not just doing to fill a vacancy. We're going to recruit that right person for the property. And if you can relate the things that we experience, what type of patience is required here? Like, what do you think so many landlords rush through screening, and what happens when they do? What do you think happens
Yeah.
when they rush through this?
Well, I think probably when people rush, it's either A,
Hmm.
out of desperation or fear. Like, I need
Yeah,
to just get somebody in there. I've got this property that now I'm responsible for paying for
yeah,
if someone's not there. And it also, I think, sometimes can be out of ease, oh, I just want to get somebody in. I don't want to have to think about this.
yeah.
Um, and also, I think a big one that maybe people don't think about is sometimes people will, like a landlord might have somebody they know as the tenant and it feels like a great fit. Oh, I know this person. I would rather have somebody that I know live in the house. But
Hmm.
because of that, they don't go through proper screening.
Yeah.
And I think that can really come back to bite you as well.
Right.
So I think it's really good to have systems and screening processes in place, no matter who comes in, even if it's your best friend or your mom's grandma or whatever,
That's
to
true.
just kind of have across the board to save
Yeah.
yourself some headache in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when we screen properly, we're trying to find a rock star tenant too. When you come
Mhm.
at it from that angle, you're saying, I'm not just bringing anybody. I'm just bringing in the most qualified person.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you're not judging by any means. You just like,
Mhm.
these are my requirements, and the person that meets his requirements is the one
Mm.
that's gonna get
Yeah.
into the property.
I
And it's
think you have to set those requirements
mhm,
first
yeah,
before you start considering people, because otherwise you might be willing to bend things that you didn't intend to bend.
exactly. And it's one of the things, obviously, making sure that the fair housing laws are, you're making sure you're following those guidelines through the procedures or the screening.
Mhm.
That's really important. Never ever. That's what I want to hammer that into. That is big violations that can cost you fines. So we
Mhm.
want to make sure that people are following these guidelines just to avoid any issues down the
Yeah.
long run,
Yeah.
right? And then another thing that we have to follow is, when we screening, we want to make sure that we're processing each application one by one. So let's say the property's marketed, a whole bunch of people start. The way that you process is that first come, first serve.
Mhm.
That one person applied, that first person goes. He's your applicant, and you're trying to verify to see if they're going to be the right person, the right fit for your property,
Yeah.
right? And something that helped us. This is something that really helped us, and it was having a tenant screening questioning form. Do you remember that?
Do you?
Yeah. Do you remember how much that helped us?
Yeah, I mean it was great. I mean, it served a couple of purposes. It helped us to screen people, but it
Hmm.
also put out our expectations so people could
Hmm.
kind of, I don't know the right word, self-assess if they were
Yeah.
going to meet those or not. So
Hmm.
one of the questions was, do you have a credit score above, I don't remember what our limit was, but we wanted a certain credit score.
Yeah.
And
I
so
think it was
people,
above 675. I think
yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
so people were able to see, okay, I know this is a requirement. I can say if I'm going to meet this or not,
Yeah.
because we'll probably get to this, but the next step was for them to go pay for a background check and a credit score, and they
Hmm.
had to pay for that. And so we didn't want people to pay for that if they knew that they weren't going to meet our requirement. And so
Yeah.
the Google screening form really helped to just kind of fairly and consistently across the board put out what our expectations were.
Yeah. Yeah. And that filters everything out smoothly.
Hmm.
Each tenant gets filtered smoothly through that. And I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
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 It was a good learning experience just going through that.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember we had, I think it was a total, it was by like the third applicant that we nailed it. Like, if one thing that we did mess up, like at the beginning, when we did when you're going through the Avail platform, the Avail platform handles everything. So it does a credit report, the criminal background check, it does the eviction report, but it, with pretty much anywhere that you go around, you have to pay a fee, which is, I think, usually averages between $50 and $70, depending on the platform. And one of the things that we miss is like, we should have added that. Is like, are you willing to pay an application fee in the questioning form? And we originally, when we first did it, we didn't put that there, and we didn't even have the credit that we were asking for. So we had to we had to refund that couple. It was a couple. It was a young couple that didn't
Oh,
meet the
yeah.
675
Yes, I
report, and then
remember
we
that
had to
now.
pay them back. You remember that?
Yes, I do
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like, little things like that. Make sure you have that all in the pre-screening form
Yeah.
just to avoid those little mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it cost us $50. And
Yeah.
so, it wasn't a huge
It wasn't a huge
loss,
thing. Yeah, we
but it
refunded
was
that money.
a
Yeah.
learning experience for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. Another things that we did, we called their employer.
Hmm.
Don't skim through this. Please don't skip through this. Like, verify that they're employed. Verify the last, 6 months of pay stubs. I literally, that's why I requested, hey, can you show me proof of your last 3 pay stubs? Show me your employer. Show me the your previous residency, right? Your previous residency, so I can verify that you're in a good standing with them. These are super important things. And I always remember, like, even reading through this book that I have here, it always talked about what a lot of landlords just skip through that because they're scared, right? Like, I just want to get somebody in. I just want to get somebody in, and then they
Hmm.
pay under the consequences just because they rush that process.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that is going to make a whole bunch of difference. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and as far as like the processing the applications, when you're going through the process of screening, make sure you're communicating with the tenants and letting like the person that is behind the ones that you're currently screening, let them know, look, you're next in line. We're currently in the process of verifying the person before you, and we'll keep in touch as soon as we get a response, and we verify if they're going to be able to rent from us or not, right?
Yeah.
Make sure you keep communication, because who knows, maybe those persons are really excited to go into your property, but they're like, oh, you haven't reached out, so I'm just going to go and look for another property. And that could be an opportunity that you miss just because you didn't keep communication, with the tenant,
Hmm.
with the
Yeah.
possible tenant, right? And then security deposits. You remember what we did with security deposit?
Like where we put it
Yeah. Yeah.
in a separate account.
Yes. Big important thing. Like in our state here in North Carolina, the security deposit has to be placed in a completely different account from your personal account or savings account. You can't commingle funds that is related to business to your own personal business, right? Like and I think that's really something that you have to make sure you never commingle with your funds. Separate it from the beginning. And as far as the deposit goes, it depends on your state as well. We ask for a full month of a deposit. That's what we ended up doing, and we haven't touched it. You don't touch it. That's usually going to get used either at the end of the tenancy, and then when you are going to be doing the final walkthrough of the home, if everything inside the property seems to be okay, then you return that fund back to the tenant. But if there is some issues that were not per the agreement, then you will use some of those funds from the deposit to fix whatever issues were in the house, right?
Hmm.
So, making sure that those things are in place is going to help. Okay, so what else do you remember about screening? Is there anything else that you can remember about it? Hey guys, just wanted to put a pause to the podcast for a second and just wanted to share with you that I've created the prep method checklist. It's a simple guideline for you to have as a resource to get the ball rolling in becoming a landlord and doing it the right way from the beginning. So go to the description below and get your free copy.
I think we covered all the bases of what we
Mm-hmm.
did. I mean, it was pretty straightforward, and honestly, it didn't take that long, maybe a couple weeks to
Yeah.
find someone. So I think give yourself enough time to
Yeah.
find someone and
It did take us a few weeks, but the positive thing about us when we were in that situation is that we were living in the property. Now, somebody that is just buying a rental property, and as soon as they close, they have to be on the go to have it rented just because they're gonna eat those mortgage
yeah.
payments. and that's why they
Yeah.
want to be really quick with it as well. So we had it we had it well in that
Yeah.
situation, but some other people might not have that. So obviously they might have to be a little bit quicker. But still,
Right.
though, I would rather make sure that they eat those mortgage costs for
Yeah.
as long as needed, so you have the right person in place. I
Yeah.
rather I rather do that any day.
Absolutely. 3000%. It is not
Yeah,
worth it to have a bad tenant.
yeah, yeah. Okay, and then the next um the next step is the establish.
Hmm.
The systems that we establish at the beginning determine how smoothly everything runs, right? Why do so many first time landlords just download like random lease templates and just hope for the best? Like, what is the risk like that?
Well, probably people do it because it's easy, right?
Yeah,
I don't know that everybody's just walking around with all this legal knowledge about how to do this and what needs to be included in a lease and things like that. So it's probably like, well, somebody's already done this for me. Let me just grab one and this will do. And I think the risk, obviously, that you run with that is maybe the person who made that didn't do a good job. Maybe it's for a different state, or maybe it
yeah,
doesn't cover everything. Maybe it's outdated. And so, I think it's really, there is a risk if you don't know and verify that it has everything in it that you need it to be in it.
yeah. And so here obviously there is there is specific contracts that are made by the state. So you can look them up online. Usually they're gonna be in your state websites. It's usually in a government website that you can find those agreements, and that's what we have. We have a North Carolina agreement, and you could make adjustments. But if you are going to make some adjustments to that, you need to. I would just be safe, run it with an attorney,
Yeah.
right? We didn't do that, but if you have specific things that you want to adjust, just go to the attorneys, just pay whatever payments that they're going to charge you. Yeah, maybe a couple $100 just for, to do the legal
Mhm.
work, but just go through it,
Yeah.
if you want to add some extra stuff to the contract,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
I think that's worth it. I think I tend to be the one to say, like, oh, do we need to spend that extra money or should we do this? Or we just save a buck here. But I think
Yeah.
all the things that we've spent money on to get extra assistance or have the screening in place or have Avail or have,
Yeah.
we didn't have an attorney, but if we would have, I think it still would have been worth it to save the headache in the long run.
Yeah.
So maybe it could be a lot of initial investment, but I think it will pay dividends in the end.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. Another thing that is really important is established process is like make sure that and we had this in the contract that they have renters insurance.
Yeah.
If renters insurance is a no-brainer. If something gets stolen out of the property, that's a renter's liability. That's not ours. So always make sure that they provide you with a proof of renter's insurance.
Yeah.
And they need to do it before the agreement begins,
Mhm.
right? Like they need to show proof or like, look, the policy is going to start the day that they move into the property.
Mhm.
They need to show that proof.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, we also got to have late fee policy.
Yep.
We have at least for us, each state also varies with how long you can wait to actually start giving late fees. For us, we have a 5 day late fee, and we
Mhm.
charge, I think, is $50 fee after every day that goes after the fifth day of the month, right? You have to have these in place for accountability.
Yeah.
If you let your tenants get away with it, it's gonna become something that they're gonna get used to, and they're gonna get away with it, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that can happen if you just continue to allow it to not pay the rent. And I think you're hurting you and you're hurting your tenant. You're hurting
Yeah.
both of yourself because you want a good relationship.
Right.
You want a good
Yeah.
relationship. Yeah.
Which makes me think, I don't think we talked about this with screening, but I think we had an income requirement, right? That it had to be, they had to make 3 times the rent or something to that effect.
Yes,
That
we
was
had
part of
that, but
the
that was
agreement.
part of the screening, though. Yeah,
That's
if
what
I'm not
I'm saying. It
mistaken.
was part
Yeah,
of the screening, but
yeah,
I was just thinking about with the late fees. Number one, we've never had to charge a late fee
yeah,
because I think we screened well, and
yeah,
then our requirements are very protective in
yeah.
keeping us from having to do a late fee.
Exactly.
But the process that's in place for if there was a late fee issue or a late issue,
Yeah.
I think there's a very secure thing in place that keeps it from being an awkward conversation of, oh,
Yes.
well, I guess, you might do this. No, it's just, it's laid out from the beginning.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what to expect, and
That's
that's
a good point.
fair.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's a good thing just to think of because, like, just verifying that income right from the beginning is like check,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a check where you don't have to
Yeah.
like, okay, this is a good quality tenant right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What do they call it? I'm gonna mess this up. Like on an airplane or something where you have multiple backups. So, like if an engine fails, maybe it's like points of failure. Like if an engine fails, you have another engine that can keep it flying, right?
Yeah, like
And
a
so,
backup system. Yeah, you have
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm just
Like
thinking
when
of.
you have computers and that are operating with servers, you have a backup server, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, obviously not getting your money on time for your rent is a little less risky than an airplane having a failure, but
Yeah.
it's the same same concept of
Yes.
you don't want to go without it. And so if you build the
Right.
proper systems in place that can protect you from getting to that point in the first place, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
No, that's good. Yeah, and then another thing that we have is also having auto drafts. That's the only form of payment that we accept. So this is a gem when it comes to Avail because Avail, the tenants set up their profiles through the platform, and then we require that all their payments are set up as auto drafts.
mhm.
Out of mind. Like we don't have to worry about it. You
Yeah.
know that at this specific date, through Avail, that platform is gonna immediately take out those funds right in the same day, right? And now you don't have to go and chase somebody. Where's your check? Where's your cash? You don't have to worry about it. Auto draft
Yeah.
saves us so much time.
Yeah, it really does. But
Hmm.
again, I was just calculating in my head, Avail, we haven't paid $9 a month
Yeah,
the whole time. But if we had, it would still, I can't do the full mental math, be like less than $400 that we've paid to have Avail. And the
yeah.
amount of headache it has saved, the amount of rent it has collected on auto, I mean, it is 3,000% worth it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's a no brainer. It's a no brainer for anybody. This is going to help you be a successful landlord with this tool. I
Yeah.
guarantee it. I guarantee it. Now for the next step that we're going through this is also the move-in walkthrough.
Mm.
This is also one of the most skipped steps in all of rental management. Why do you think landlords skip this step, and what is the cost?
Why do I think they skip it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, probably
Like a walkthrough.
because
Hmm.
it's one more thing, or they think, oh, I know what the property looks like, so no need to do it. It feels redundant.
Hmm.
But again, you risk something happening, or you risk your tenant's word going against yours. But if
Yeah.
you walk through it together, you're looking at things together, you're documenting, okay, this is like this is,
Hmm.
then there's documentation of it. It saves you a headache and it
Yeah.
saves the tenant a headache at the end.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really, really helpful. And I think you give them a period of time to report anything they may see as well after that walkthrough.
Yeah. So when we did the walkthrough, first of all, like I have a recorded video. It's saved
Mhm.
somewhere in our OneDrive. Who knows where it's at in that folder? I just got to look through it. I haven't looked at it since we moved out of it. But I did a video of throughout the whole house just to have evidence of any things that we can evaluate when we go back to the rental property and they move out. We're gonna have to evaluate the whole house. So I have that video, I have pictures, I have photos, and I also have a sheet that I gave him to mark like the things that he
Mhm.
found right when they first moved in.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, maybe it was a few things that he found. It was something silly stuff.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
very
like
silly.
I had done the self cleaner on the oven and I
Yes.
forgot to, in my ignorance, I didn't know
Yeah.
I had to go back and clean the oven after it self cleaned.
Yeah.
And so he was like, there's some ash in the oven.
Yeah. It
And
was something silly. It was
yeah,
a few, maybe it was another extra thing, but that's
yeah.
fine though. That's fine.
But you
It's
want them to
documented.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to just be upfront and honest with whatever you find. So whenever
Yeah.
we go back and we evaluate the original moving sheet to the move out walking sheet, we have it to compare,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, that was good. Now, one of the things that now I want to go into more depth, I know we talked about Avail, and this is why I love Avail so much. It handles the leases, it handles your tenants' profiles, like you all their information goes through there. Whenever there's repairs and maintenance that need to be done, they're done through there. And there is accounting. So whenever those transactions are happening, mortgage, like the HOA that we have, I documented there, right? I document all the repairs and expenses, all the invoices go through there. All communication can be done through there. Now, I wish it was better when with the text. If you were able to text with the platform, that's something that I wish they had it, but they don't have it. And I think usually the tenant reaches to me with the text messages. But what I do a copy and paste of all the text message they sent me, and then I put it in the software just so I can have it as data there as well. So that's something very minimal. And like we said, it's $9 a month, which is I think it's just worth it for each unit that you have. It's $99, a no brainer. And what I also like about it is that when I'm putting all this information, expenses and income, you can also create a an Excel sheet. So you can, if you like spreadsheets, you can use that as well to track it. A lot of people like having those spreadsheets, you know. Um, Auto draft. Obviously, we talked about the auto draft,
Yeah.
and another thing that I was going through Avail is that they can also do like a credit report. Like the tenants couldn't do something to help out their credit. I haven't looked into it, but it's just another extra tool for the tenant to use. Also, what I like about Avail in that platform is that it has a lot of good articles that is good for landlords to learn strategies and things for them to have resources. There's a lot of good resources there for them and also for the tenants. So I do like Avail. I know there's other platforms. I haven't done research on other platforms, and the only reason why I'm saying it's a no brainer to go with it. Just take it from me. It's been worth it. It's worth the investment. And like I said, we're gonna drop that link for Avail.com in the description below. So, and then our next from the prep, our last letter is the P, right? And this is gonna be protect. A great landlord does not just collect rent, we protect our investment, our tenant relationship, and our peace of mind, right? Here's a question for you. Talk about the mindset shift here. A lot of landlords feel awkward enforcing late fees with a tenant they like. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of how we were saying earlier of money is an awkward conversation a lot of
Yeah.
times. You know, some people are just like, give me my money, and it's just a straight shot. But
Mm-hmm.
I think for most people, chasing it down comes with that sense of, oh, I don't want to, hurt somebody's feelings, or I don't want to make somebody pay if they're struggling, or
Yeah,
things like that. And so I think, again, having the protective systems in place protects you from having to have a hard conversation or getting in a spot where things weren't clear.
yeah,
And so, you know, having that backup, you're able to say, this is what we agreed upon from the beginning.
yeah,
I'm understanding. Please let me know if you're having an issue. But for the most part, this is the policy, and this is a policy that we both agreed upon.
yeah, yeah. There's no ways around it. What's written is what's written, and this is what we're gonna follow. You know,
Yeah.
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 And it's like also, one of those things is like when you had that flat fee and that late fee is clearly in the lease. There's no ambiguity,
Yeah.
right? There's no
Yeah.
ambiguity. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about anything. You know.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I mean, back to screening again, if you follow the guidelines that you set, you stick with
Hmm.
the credit score requirement, stick with the income requirement,
Yeah,
you know, when you start kind of wiggling on those things, you might be more willing to wiggle on late fees and
yeah,
things like that, and you just kind of can get yourself in a bind. I think you have to
yeah.
remember this is not a charity, this is a business.
Exactly.
And so you and I both, we love generosity. We want to be generous people, and
Yeah,
there's a aspect of life for that. But I think with a rental home, you really have to treat it like a business, that its
yeah,
survival depends on you enforcing the required payments.
yeah. No, you're 100% right. We want to be generous. We want to be kind, but we also want to make sure that we're taking care of our future, right? In the sense of like this is our business that we got to operate, and if a tenant doesn't pay for us, what will happen to us? We will have to make payments on the rental property and our own personal property,
Yeah.
right? Now, yeah, if we want to help, if there is a drastic situation that they're going through, we can discuss how we can help out in that situation, right? Like we can talk about it. Like
Yeah.
things happen, things come up, right? Like, and we want to be generous during those times. But if we see that it's not something really that is really hurtful to them, then obviously we're going to make sure that they comply with the agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you have to remember too of, um, let's say our tenants lost their job or something like that. I mean,
Mhm.
I think that I know we would be willing to work with them
Yeah,
on that.
for sure.
That's not going to be an issue. But I think, you have to assess at the end of the day, you want to be helpful, but if you cannot sustain it,
Yeah,
and if you can't pay to even keep the business running without it,
yeah,
then that's kind of a line that gets crossed.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, obviously making sure we're documenting everything, just document everything, every, late payment, every communication, every fee. That's
Mm.
where you have to have communication. If there's a hiccup in the future, and if there's some legal issues that need to take place, you need to have all that written documentation. um, Now, this is something that we've experienced for us because this is inevitable. It's going to happen. Maintenance.
Mm.
Maintenance is something that you have to know that it's just a matter of time before something happens. Now, can you share like some of the things that has happened to us since we rented out the property in 4 years? You remember what
Um,
the main ones that come to
uh,
mind?
Sorry. For all our lovely listeners, it's 9:10 p.m. It's my bedtime. Um,
That's for bedtime.
and it is past my bedtime. So, I don't know how much more I have left in me. Um, we had to do the HVAC system.
Yeah, that was a big
Ooh,
one. That was the main one at
yeah.
the beginning. Hmm.
It was pretty quickly after it. We kind of
Hmm.
knew it wouldn't be long, but it
Yeah,
started making a noise keeping our tenants up at night. So we did try to do that pretty quickly.
yeah,
We've had the massive hornet's nest. There was I don't it was like it was bigger than a basketball. It was
It was
huge.
like humongous. It was a hornet's nest like this. I
Yeah,
remember.
it was
Yeah,
disturbing. It was a creation right there. Um, I don't really know that but we haven't had
we had
huge
the HVAC.
things.
We had the hornet's nest. I'm trying to think what else. We had the gates outside the fence that had to get replaced.
Yeah.
What else did we have? We had the the kitchen, the sink. What was it? We
I
had a
don't
kitchen
know,
repair. It was something silly.
but I don't
Oh,
remember.
it was a garbage disposal. That's what it
Oh
was.
yeah. What was the thing that we had to hire an inspector for and they went into the attic
Oh
and
yeah,
there
we had
was
a roof leak. That's right. We had the roof
yeah.
leak, but that was covered by the HOA though. That was
Okay,
covered by
yeah.
the HOA. We didn't have to do any payments towards that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we I think we've had easily maybe I would probably say close to $10,000 of repairs in the 4 years that we had it rented. But like the main one was the HVAC unit, and we
Yeah.
knew that that was going to eventually be replaced. But thankfully, with the cash flow that we've generated through the property, we've been able to cover these maintenances with no problem, and that's just a blessing, from
Yeah.
God that we are able to cash flow nicely on the property, and then we're able to put all those savings of the business and not touch it for as long as we could. Recently, this last year is when we started using it just a little bit for things that we wanted, but it's not like we're taking a whole bunch of money from the property, from the cash flow that
Yeah.
we're generating there.
You were taking like $50 to pay somebody to mow our lawn twice a month.
It's a
It
no
was not
brainer,
even
Yeah,
anything like it was
yeah,
anything
just
crazy.
buying back our time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So,
you
but I
know,
also think, you made a wise decision in the type of property you got to be our rental because
yeah,
we don't have to do any of the yard maintenance. The HOA
yeah.
covers all of that. They cover the outside of the house. So it's townhouse. So there's some protection in that too. Oh, we had to do a deck. We got a new deck.
No, we didn't do a deck. No, we didn't
Never
do a
mind,
deck.
we did not do a new deck. I
No,
thought we were doing a
we
new
got
deck.
somebody to evaluate it, but they said that it was not needed. Yeah,
Oh, okay, gotcha. Never
yeah,
mind.
yeah. So, and also a good thing that you talking about like deck, like, and the contractor came to evaluate it. You do have to build a list of contractors. It's good to have uh people that you're ready to call when something happens.
Mm.
I literally, when something has happened, I already have the number. Like I don't have to chase around. I have a list of people that I worked with in the past, right? So building a list of contractors is just going to help you save time when these issues happen, right? So that's important. And something that this is not a requirement, but I suggest it because we want to make sure that the property is doing well. So what do I do every 4 months? Technically every quarter, I go and change the air filters. What that allows me to do is to go into the property and be able to verify how well they're taking care of the property. And not just that, I'm making sure that the HVAC is operating appropriately because I'm changing the air filters regularly. So I'm helping out the tenants. And usually, most rental properties don't do this. So, that was part of the agreement. If the landlord needs to have access to the property for maintenance, they need to give me access, but I have to give them a heads up. Usually, I give them a heads up within a week. And if they're not available, then we'll push it another week, whatever week they're available. But it's just having that communication with them. Hey, this is heads up. Maintenance is coming. I'm going to go and change the air filters. And it helps me go in there and evaluate the property. And so far, such good tenants. They take care of the property. We're blessed by having amazing tenants in there.
Yeah. I think that's another kind of fail safe thing that you do as well. Like you were talking about, you can see the property, but
Mm-hmm.
also, number one, we have great tenants, but number two,
Yeah.
if they know that you're coming, I think they're more likely to take care of your property as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Here's another one, rent increases.
Mm.
What have we done about that? This is a very touchy subject because I remember living in an apartment every month. I mean, not every month, every year.
Gosh. Yeah.
Every year, I would expect $100, a couple $100 a raise.
Yeah.
And I get it; they're operating it like a business, and there's a lot more turnover when it comes to big apartments, right? But we have a townhouse as a rental, and we decided that if we take care of our tenants by not jacking up the rent to a high amount, that's going to be something beneficial because they're going to be happy, right?
Mhm.
That the rent is not going up by a lot. So what we've done, and this is just decided, we do have to raise the rent, but we only raising it $25 every year.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? A lot of people ask, "What do you do that?" That's not nice. Well, there's costs that cost to operating expenses, right? All this money that we put into the maintenance that goes into the depreciation value of the property. So we have to raise the rent. Now
Hmm.
we're not raising it $100, $200. It's a steady $25 every single year,
Yeah.
right? What do you think about that?
No, I think it's great. I think it's you're still taking care of the fact that the property needs to be
Yeah,
covered, but also not doing so much that it makes people aggravated,
yeah,
right? So $25 feels reasonable, expected,
yeah,
and it doesn't make them mad or feel like you're not valuing them,
yeah,
right? And so,
exactly.
because even if you know inherently, like I've been a renter in an apartment before, and it's always kind of like, ugh, like I know they have to raise it because inflation and all of that, but it still is never fun to see. So I think if you keep it at 25 or even 50, I don't think it's as hurtful.
Yeah, exactly. And to just because I have it here in my notes, it's a on average it's a 3 to 5% annually increase. So, like I said, it was that could be like $100. That's a
Yeah.
standard. That's like a standard.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
And we honestly, we could charge a lot more for our townhouse, and maybe
hmm
we will for our next tenants, but
Yeah.
I think keeping it reasonable and accessible helps.
Yeah. For sure. Um, the next thing is the lease renewal and move out. Now, the lease renewal, the thing that we do that we do is that, so like right now the lease is going to be due in July 1st.
Mhm.
So by law, by state law here in North Carolina, you have to give at least a 60-day notice to see if they're going to be able to renovate the lease, renew the lease, or vacate the property.
Mhm.
So we do send them a 60-day notice. Are you going to be staying or are you going to be leaving? And each state is differently, so you guys got to make sure you verify that. Um, and then you can also give them the option of renew on a month-to-month lease, or yearly lease, or 2-year lease. We decided that a year lease is what fits us in, um, just for our property. I think a year lease just gives us peace of mind. It doesn't lock the tenants on a long-term lease. We feel some pressure to stay there for longer because you never know. Life circumstances happen and they need to move. They need to leave for
Yeah.
whatever reason. So I think a year lease is perfect
Yeah.
just for us and for like the tenants.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Something that we also have done is every December we do something kind for them. Like we get them a gift card, right? It's a little extra touch that we're thankful, for being great tenants. They pay on time, they communicate, they take care of the property, and it's just a small appreciation, of what they've done ever since they've been renting other properties. So every single December, that's what we've done. We'll get him a little gift card. I don't know if there's so many things that we can do. Maybe you have something in mind that I haven't thought of.
No, I mean, I think that's great. Well, it's not
Yeah.
much, like $25, but
hmm
that's a small price to pay for a good tenant. You've
Yeah.
picked up their mail before when they've asked you, like they were
Yeah.
out of town, and there's a package on the porch. They've asked you to do that for them. And so just being kind when you can.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. And yeah, I think that right there is how we seal off this conversation of how to run a property a rental property properly. We've gone into details. I think we laid out a foundation. Remember, the prep is prepare, the R is recruit, the E is establish, and the P is protect. Just having this framework is going to set anybody up for success. It might not be perfect. There's a lot of things that you had to take into effect when it comes to the property location, the area. That varies, and all you can do is just prep the best of your abilities, right? Do you have anything in mind that you think it will benefit people just in general? Do you have anything in mind?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we pretty extensively covered everything. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
been, if you do your preparation, I think it can be a really awesome thing. And I, have admittedly ridden the wave of your preparation with it, but
Yeah.
it's really
But
paid
you were
off.
part of it. You were part of it through through the thick and thin there. So
Yeah, I mean, I helped along the way as far as making the screening and, as we've talked about it and learned and made decisions on are we going to fix this? Are we going to fix that? But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think overall that preparation was really helpful and having a plan has really served us well.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, guys, I hope this was really resourceful for you guys, and hopefully it impacts your future endeavors in getting your property managed appropriately from the beginning. And if there's any questions about this subject, just comment below and then we'll try to help you out. We don't have this perfected by no means, but I think this is just a good way to help you guys get started. And yeah, we're looking forward to the next Ownership Collective podcast. I hope we get to see you guys soon. Alrighty, see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Bye.